I recently did a set of sample nails for the Valla Burgundy Maroon collection that I loved so much doing them for the video that I just decided I need to do a set of these for Valentine's. So I figured I would take the samples that I did and run with them and fill it out with a couple of more simple designs. So that's what I'm going to do here today. So my hope is that this here is going to be quick and simple. I'm using BS64 from the Valla Burgundy Maroon collection, as well as Blanc Sangria W49 chrome powder. And my goal with these is to get them done as quickly as possible, not take forever. I'm just going to start out by doing a double coat on all of my nails with my polish. And I've come to the realization that as much as I really struggle with doing long swatches with syrup gel polishes, I think it's because when they're really long, I have difficulty floating the product without getting really bad pooling on the edges. I have to work on that more. Whereas when I'm using a shorter nail surface, I feel like I can really float the product a whole lot better and get a much better coverage without having nearly as many bald spots. You still got to play with it a little bit, but yeah, it's a lot easier than those really, really long swatch sticks. So I have to work on that a bit. And syrup gel just is kind of its own thing. You just got to learn to work with it. So I got to play with it much, much more to get used to the consistency and how to make it work the way I want it to. So at this point, my nails have 2 coats set on them. And look at how nice and consistent those coats are. So much easier with short nails. It turns out so much better. Those long swatch sticks are just doing me in when it comes to syrup gels. I love them for all the rest of them because I like the space. But when it comes to syrup gels, I just really struggle with it. What I'm going to do next then is my chrome rose nails. And I've decided to do 2 of them. So this one is going to be my really detailed rose. That's going to look like this one. So I'll just set that aside. And I'm going to go do these 2 with this stamping detail. So first thing I'm going to go over with a no white top coat to be able to chrome over. And the one that I have that works the very best is my Yogo Zombie. Now, the only thing I don't like about using this one for chrome is it's really thick. Not that I don't like a thick top coat. It's just in this situation, I would prefer to be using a thinner one because there is going to be multiple layers. And this gel being so thick, it just adds to the thickness overall of the nail if I'm having to put it down first for chrome. I'm going to be looking for a new Korean gel that works really well with chrome that's a thin consistency so that I don't have to struggle to try and get this as thin as possible. So just going to coat these 2 with my Yogo and cure. Now that my nails are cured out of the light with the no wipe top coat, I'm just going with an alcohol wipe, lint free, and wipe that down. It'll just help the chrome to stick. In some of my recent contact, I came to find that I much prefer an eyeshadow applicator than I do these silicone tools, applicators. So we're just going to go in and chrome these babies up. I'm working over a dampened paper towel because I find that that really helps to control some of the flyaway from the chrome. I don't find that I have to struggle with it on my table as much afterwards, because I get really distressed by all the chrome flaky stuff everywhere. It really annoys me. I'm constantly having to wipe every little sparkle off of my gloves and the tabletop. It's rather distressing, but I love chrome. So this has been a great solution for me so far. Like, it just kind of stays in place. Much better. Ooh, listen to that good squeak. I find that if you get that really good squeak when you're working, I'm just going to give it a quick alcohol wipe. Look at that. No chrome came off on the wipe. And that squeak just kind of lets you know that it's gripping, that chrome is really gripping to that top coat. And this is a new year, new me. Old me would have fretted and gone in and done 2 coats of chrome for no reason other than 2 is always better than 1. Like, it covers any mistakes or imperfections or what have you. But that coverage is gorgeous and flawless. I'm noticing one little speck down here that you probably can't even notice. There it is. That's very noticeable to me. So I will do my best to cover that. And if I can't, then I'm just going to leave it and move on, because that's a better idea than obsessing over it and trying to fix it endlessly. An awesome, super quick alcohol wipe and just back into that little section, and it perfected that right up. Oh, it's so luscious. That chrome is so luscious. Oh gosh. Okay, and to the other one. Can you hear that squeak? The squeak is good. Oh, there's the squeak. It's so satisfying, guys. And more perfect chrome. So we have this gorgeous chrome on there that we want to preserve. And the best way to do that is to prevent chipping. So we're going to go in with a primer. Whatever primer you got will do. And we want our edges. Just go along the edges with your primer. Some people go in sand. Sorry, sand not being the right word. File. Some people go in with their file and file their edges. Basically, the goal is to create a surface that your next coat can stick to, because ain't nothing happy sticking to chrome. Chrome is just not happy for sticking. It's not natural for the layers of gel to stick to the chrome. It will create lifting. So because this goes all the way to the edges of the nail, we need to make sure we're creating a sticky layer. Or if you want to be extra cautious, do a file and then go in with a primer. But these are going to be for me and not for a client, so I'm okay with just going in for a primer. Now that your edges are primered, you want to go in with a base coat. Again, yeah, you could go straight in with a top, but your base is going to help you to lock in that chrome better and have less likely issues of lifting or chipping or any of those kinds of things. Because chrome, unfortunately, can be notoriously finicky. Creates issues for longevity. So you do get chipping, you do get lifting, all that kind of stuff, because the chrome is not naturally adhesive to anything else that you put on there. Just a light base coat to seal that in. Plus a base coat is like made for kind of trapping stuff in, or any kind of a sealing coat. When you're doing your base coat, you want to really focus on your edges all the way around. Again, locking in that chrome. So be very meticulous around your edges. And remember that anytime you're working with chromes or pigments or anything like that, and using your brush from your polish bottle, that there's likely to be transfer of some sort, even if it's just a little bit. So keep that in mind, that you might want to have a dedicated bottle or use an alternate brush so that you're not contaminating your bottle for your next set that might have no powders or no anything in it, because that gets really frustrating. All right, so base coat them both up. Now that we're out of the light, it's time to stamp. And we're going to want to remove the inhibition layer first from the base coat. So wet wipe and go in there and get that off so it's not all slick and slippery when you're stamping over it, because then our stamp will be sliding around and making it difficult. I'm going to be going in with my clear jelly stamper polish. There's lots of great brands out there to use. I'm just a huge fan of these guys and their sticky stamping polish, because it works really great when you're dealing with chromes. Chroming over it for sure. In this case, it's not necessary for it to be sticky, but I like this one better. Gives you a little extra time too. And I can always use a little extra time when I'm doing stuff. So I'm removing any excess. I did get a really good pickup. Hopefully it didn't take too long. And let's see what we got. That is a sweet. Absolutely sweet. Look at that. Oh, it's exquisite. All right, set that aside to dry. And we do our next one. Like even just that all in itself is like, wow. Elevates that big time. For best results, you're going to want to clear away the polish from your plate before doing it again. Now this nail is bigger, so I may have to do it like a double stamp. Yes, it looks like, because it is not going to fit completely on there. So you got to decide whether to pick from the bottom or the top. I'm going to go in this way and put down part of my design, or the stamp as much as I've got here. And then I'm going to go in again and fill in that little bitsy bottom part. And it shouldn't be that noticeable. Basically, we're just going to take the edge of the stamp and kind of try and line it up in a way that looks most natural. All right. That kind of did okay. Now you, of course, you can see it right now because it's kind of doubled over some of the stamping polish. But once our top coat is on there, that should kind of melt away into it and you won't notice it. So that did a pretty good job. So now that this is dried really well, I'm just going to go in with my Magic Gel Tackless Hypershine. It does really well over stamping. It's very, very thin. I like that. And so I can just float it over and not worry so much about my stamping getting ruined, because you don't want to have to redo that again if it ends up smearing or anything like that. And if you don't have a top coat that works really well over stamping, then just try your best to float and play with it as little as possible. Because the more brush strokes you're putting on there, the more likely you are to start smearing it, especially once the layer is on there and it's made it really wet. Then even the best top coats can start to smear if you keep messing with it too much. You're always better off to just like level it out the best you can. If you need to, flip it up. And then if you do have to go in there and correct something afterwards, just put another coat over it, especially if it's a thin layer like this one. You're not going to be as likely to smear your work. And now for our detailed center rose nail, we need a matte surface so that we can do isolated chrome. So I'm going in with my Devoc Zero Matte. Now that I have that matte surface, I'm going to go in with a wipe, alcohol, clean that off. What I'm going to do, instead of relying on my eyeshadow applicator to go in and, struggle to do it, I'm going to load my stamper jelly with the chrome. This is one that I use for doing chromes and pigments because it's got a big tear in the jelly. And so not so ideal anymore to use for stamping, because if the image ends up over top of that, it creates a crack in the image. So instead, I can load this with some chrome and then it'll be right ready to just pop on there and hit it the minute that I have that image on there, so that I can work much, much faster. So we got a decent pickup. All right, so that is on like Donkey Kong. And now we go in with our chrome and hopefully we get a good stick. Like that. There we go. Good sticking. We went fast and we got good sticking. So we're kind of using this stamper as like our silicone tool. And then, as always, in with our cloth. And hopefully we can burnishing in all of that nice. All right, that turned out beauty. Now I just realized that the last time I did this, I did it differently. I didn't put the chrome down like this. I first sealed my stamping and then went in with a top coat and a chrome. But we're going to try this different instead and see if it works, because I'm already at this point. So this is my Yogo top coat. It's really nice and thick, so it'll stay in place quite well. Plus it's really good for chroming over. So I have me a very short liner brush, and I might actually even jump down to my mini. I can't remember which one works better, and I'm going to go in and only coat over the chrome. I'm quite terrible at line work, but this really helps me to practice. Yes, I'm just coloring over something, so it's not my own like original line work, but it's still a form of practicing that very delicate, careful painting technique, which I'm very terrible at. And I really can't talk and line at all, so I am just going to do this and show you when it's done, because you know what I'm doing. Now that this has been filled in and cured, I'm going to go in, give it a wipe down, and I'm going to chrome it again. I've still got some more on my stamper here. And the difference is this time, after I've chromed, I'm going to really rub it in with our eyeshadow applicator. So I was actually thinking for a minute about leaving this with the matte background and just filling in the petals again with the raised gel, but I have a feeling it won't create that three-dimensional effect that's inside there if I do it that way. So I feel like I have got to seal this completely in with a glossy in order to get that super dimensional effect. Because what happens when I went over the chrome individually, like each of the petals, it starts turning it from a super shiny, solid chrome look to more of a glittery look, because the top gel slowly starts mixing in with the chrome, if that makes sense. And then you don't get that full effect. You get more of a glittery effect, and that's kind of not what we're going for. That's not going to work so well. So I think I got to seal the whole thing in. And of course, I do not want to contaminate my Yogo bottle, so it's going to go on my little palette, and I'm going to use a different applicator brush to put that on there. So what I'm going to do is go in with my Yogo on my edge, because there's no chrome right there. And I'm just going to use my applicator brush to bring that down. And try not to touch the chromey parts so that you don't smear the chrome around. Basically, I'm just trying to float this over without actually touching anything, so that it hopefully doesn't spread into the rest of the parts. Once I have that all coated, and you can see, yes, it creates that really cool, like embossed 3D effect. And I'm just going to hold it upright for about a minute, or not even, and just to try and hope that everything kind of fills in everywhere and settles in nicely and kind of smooths out any bumpy sections. Although I can always go over it, but. So I'm going to go in with a matte first and end up seeing how that looks. Because regardless, any kind of isolated chrome is going to need matte first, or buffed. But I'm not about the buffing. So now that I've got my matte nail, this is Crystal Nails Black Royal Gel Paint. And this is a no wipe, which should work well for chrome. All right, so brush loaded, and we roll. We roll to get a nice thin line that is loaded well with paint, but still keeps the brush thin and our paint distribution thin. Here goes nothing. Really, my main concern is not so much what my designs are going to look like, because abstract, squiggles, whatever, it can look like whatever. My main concern is keeping my lines thin so they look nice and delicate, and not going in with like a glob. You see how there's a blob on the end of my brush? That's no good. That's going to make a blob, and that's going to make my line go wonky. So I want it thin. Thin, thin. There we go. This way, whatever design I end up doing, it's going to look thin and delicate. And I can always go back in and plump it up if I need to. Yeah, other people find this kind of work, oh, you know, that's so easy. To me, this is the hard work. Just going in with like squiggles is hard to me. I'd much rather do all the crazy techniques than try and do some simple little squiggle lines, because this is so uncomfortable for me. And because the abstract nature of it, I'm not going to stress when I have an extra like brush stroke somewhere. I'm going to try like act like that's all intentional and shit. Yeah, that extra little squiggle there, I meant to do that. And I'm not trying to thicken my lines at all here. I'm just trying to increase the paint and make it a little more three-dimensional. Hopefully without thickening my lines. But if it does a little, well, that's okay. I kept them really thin so that I'd have a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, I'm going to cure that because I'm not quite sure if I want like more lines or if it's just like, just leave it at that, kind of simple. I don't know. Okay, so here it is cured, and I'm going to go in and chrome over that black. Oh wow, this just looks stunning. But I'm going to go in there and put a few more lines in because I love the way this looks. I think I'm going to stick with it. Now that I'm happy with the look of this, I'm going to go in with a top coat, and I'm going to float it so that I don't spread that chrome around. So I'm going to fully chrome this one and then go in with black accents. So going in with my Yogo, we'll top coat that and cure. My no wipe top coat is cured on here. I'm going to go in and wipe with alcohol so that it will hold the chrome better. And I'm going to chrome right over this whole nail. My chrome's looking beautiful. Fluff it and buff it. So after primering my edges, going in with a base, sealing that chrome in. Right, I'm gonna go in with my lines. This is looking really cool, so I'll go in and top coat that. Eek! Check it out, you guys. These turned out insane. It was so hard for me to figure out how to get an image of them because the chrome plays tricks with the camera and you can't see it. But I figured out I'm using too much light. Like, I'm nearly in darkness here. It's kind of crazy. I really learned something new today. What do you think? Was that one a doable project for you guys? I'd love to hear your comments. Now I think I might have figured out. When I'm filming and using chrome, I think I need less lighting. And it's funny, but one of my favorite nails is this really simple pinky. The way that that chrome squiggle detail worked out is just phenomenal. I can't quite believe it myself. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video today. That was informative for you and you learned something. Or maybe not. Maybe you just enjoyed watching it. Because I really absolutely loved creating this set. If you liked this set or enjoyed watching, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, notification bell so that you find out when my next videos drop. This has been so much fun to put together. I'm really happy with how these turned out. Thanks so much for hanging out and watching these videos with me. And of course, as always, until next time, don't forget to love your nails. Bye!